Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our third Alumni Small Grant session. Today, we are here to share success stories from Alumni Grantees. This is our third live session, and we are here to answer your questions about the small grants. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm glad everyone's tuning in. We have three panelists who have done successful grants in the past. We're going to speak to all of them, and we're going to get an idea of their unique grants and how they did them and what they found successful and what their difficulties were. We have another panelist, Samana, who can jump in. She's a great hostess who can ask questions. And we encourage all of you, if you have questions, to write them in, and we'll get to as many as we can in the time that we have. So we have three. Ali Hussein is the first on my list. He's from Lahore. And then we have Aisha Rahman. She's from Islamabad. And finally, we have Korat Hussein as well. She's coming all the way from Detroit, America. It's 5 a.m. where she is, so extra special thanks to her for tuning in and waking up so early. I hope you had some strong tea or coffee this morning. Why don't we start with Ali? Ali, welcome and thank you for coming here. Can you just give us a real quick summary of what your project was?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today. So my project was about using social media communication campaign to improve religious harmony and tolerance in Pakistan for minorities. That was a brief introduction of that. We designed a behavior change communication campaign that was run on Facebook and that reached around 1.8 million people in Punjab.
Well, that's great. Well, we're going to get some more details about that in just a little bit, but let's jump over there to Aisha. Aisha in Islamabad. Can you tell us about your project? And I know about your project because I was involved in it, but I loved it. Can you tell the rest of the people who are watching today?
Yeah, sure. So our project was called Adabi Exchange, which means literary exchange. We interviewed 4 authors, basically just to celebrate the written word and to present these authors as celebrities, which they are, but often not celebrated. So this was 4 interviews of Pakistani authors writing in different genres, including a travelogue, a memoir, development economics, and fantasy fiction. They were based out of 3 different continents and 4 different cities, and 2 of them writing in Urdu, 2 in English. So it was fairly inclusive and diverse that way. And I had a lot of fun doing it. So yeah.
That's great. And that was online as well, correct?
Yes. It was an online event, yes.
Perfect. Well, it would have to be if you had people in 3 different continents. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll come back and get some more details about that in a minute. Let's jump over there to Corrado Lane. Are you there? She's our participant from Detroit, United States. Thanks. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure. Well, I did my project in Karachi, and I'm very soon going to be returning back to Karachi, inshallah. So my project was titled Teaching Resilience Through Digital Collaboration. It was an online project, 3 months long duration, which was, I would term it as a rigorous virtual global program for teachers across the globe. And we had participants join us from 14 countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, even from Mexico, Nepal, Qatar, Sri Lanka, as part of our TRDC's Train the Trainer program. And this was practically on giving these teachers, majority of them belonging to university and community colleges across these countries. And we had received around 200 and plus applications. So we had to shortlist. We could not have all of them on board. So we shortlisted like around 100 of them, and successfully we were able to, have graduates, around 100 graduates from our program. And we had around 20 national and international guest speakers who joined us for these 25 sessions on themes which revolved around academic, social, personal, growth resilience. So there was a training manual developed digitally for these the training of trainers program, and it was digitally distributed to the program participants so that we could empower them to organize similar TRDC events at their institutions in the future. Thank you.
Great, that's a nice summary. We're going to stay with you for just a little bit. How much, or what was your grant? What was the financial amount of your grant, and how did you use it?
Oh yeah, my amount it was a small grant of 2 lakh rupees. It was small because it was online during COVID. So it was spent mostly on the technology part and on the logistics part. Like, some of we had tried to motivate our participants, although it was entirely digitally online. So we had motivated some of the participants that if you perform, there were certain benchmarks. So if a participant did some extraordinary performance by sharing videos, by sharing testimonials, so we posted the certificates to such participants across Pakistan. So we had to spend on the logistics, such as the postage, the printout of those certificates and all. And apart from that, the technology, the softwares which we had used, so all of that stuff. So it was a tight budget, but it was well managed. Thanks to Samana's guidance and Shahnila's guidance and Fariha also. These three were like, I remember I would just be, we had this WhatsApp group which served more like, I just message them all the time and get good responses. So that's how I was able to manage my finances and the entire grant itself. So it went, alhamdulillah, it went very well. Plus I had a lot of support from my university where I'm working, University of Karachi. I'm at the Department of Teacher Education as a teacher educator. So being a coordinator for the colleges, I had that access to getting the the target audience very easily, at least from Karachi, and the rest of the participants across from Pakistan, I was able to recruit them through the Pakistan-U.S. Alumni Network. I remember Professor Jamil Chitrali, very active POAN alumni, and he was able to connect me for the guest speakers. So the majority of our guest speakers were all POAN alumni, which was a really big help for me to organize this project. And inshallah, in the future also, I hope I'll be getting this support.
Well, that's great. And I want to mention for our viewers that the people who you mentioned who helped you out, those are staff members at the POAN headquarters, and they are ready to help anyone. If you have questions, there's staff there, and they've helped out a lot of people, and they can jump in and give you assistance with anything you need. So I'm glad you brought that. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Let's go over to Ashia next. Ashia, we asked a lot of these. We ask a lot of our people to make their grants associated with the work they did when they were on their exchange. Is that the approach you took, or did you do something different?
Sorry, who are you asking?
Yes. For many of the people who apply to these grants, we ask to make the grants associated with the work that they did when they were on their exchange. Did you take that approach, or did you do something different?
Me?
Yeah,
I could start.
let's see.
Do
Okay,
you want to
Ali,
go?
how about you then? We'll come back to you.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a continuation of what I was doing during my Fulbright program in the United States. For example, a lot of what I was doing was based on designing social media campaigns and understanding human psychology and understanding how religious harmony and tolerance can be improved. So it was a culmination of 6 to 8 years of work that I've been doing before the grant in USA. And I think this is how it should be, to make it a very strong proposal so that you could demonstrate that you have done the research, you have the team, you have the resources, and you have the expertise to execute the project. So yes, that was the case for me.
Okay, and what was the financial amount that you were working with, and how did you use it?
So the actual amount that we received was around $5,000, and it was used in multiple budget heads. Like there was budget head for human resource, for logistics, for administration, for the Facebook advertisements, for the creation of the drama that we made. And so based on the budget heads which the POAN already gave us, and then we divided them into them, all of them.
All right, that's great. And did you get assistance from our team at the Quan headquarters, or were you able to figure it out on your own?
Yeah, I think this was a continuous process of back and forth communication between Jamal, Wakar, Shahnila, and then Ashab, Rukhsana, etc. The whole Quan team was involved into it. Because of the sensitivity of the project that we were doing, we really had to modify a lot of the things based on what we actually proposed. And that happened many times during the project. And so we did had a very focused debate on it, and there was a lot of help that we received from them also.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I know other people will avail themselves to our leadership team at Quan to help them out as well. Thanks. We're going to come back to you in a minute. But Shia, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Great. Can you tell us about the origins? Where did the idea come for your project?
Well, so I studied English literature. That was my master's degree. And then I went on to do my master's in education, working in the development sector. But a lot of my work is not, it's kind of integrated. The writing part and the education part is integrated because I develop student learning content as well. So at heart, I'm still a writer, even though I'm working in the education sector space. So that's something that's really close to my heart. And also I felt like there is, so when you look at the themes given in a lot of these documents from Quan, etc., they say, oh, you have to build peace, and people are often, and that's important work as well, but you, instead of working on building peace once things are out of hand, I think it's also important to create a ground where there is a celebration of ideas, of discussion, so that there is peace and tolerance and just a culture of listening to each other. I just wanted to do that, just to create a culture of listening to each other and celebrating ideas. Even in my grant proposal, where they've asked for a rationalization, I've said, I've connected it to building peace, but in the sense that if you're open to ideas and to stop and think and to read, so that is a lot of things that's going to stop and sort of preempt the creation of fundamentalism or taking actions without thinking, etc. So that was basically my thing. So reading is my passion. Writing is something that I myself am interested in as well. And that's how the idea grew. And also I like to talk to people and interact with people. So the interviews were fun that way.
Okay, a couple of follow-up questions for you. Where did you, or how did you find the authors who you use in your grant? Where did you find them? How did you get connected with them?
I've read the work of two of them and really enjoyed it. The fantasy fiction author, and there was a third author whose work we'd read as part of a US Embassy run book club. So Sabiha Rahman, I knew through that book club, and I approached her. She's based out of US, working on interfaith harmony. Her memoir is about being a Muslim and living in the US and creating safe spaces for Muslims. Now she's co-authored a book with a Jewish person, which is called We Refuse to Be Enemies, and it's about Jewish and Muslim harmony in the United States, etc. So I knew about her that way. So basically it's people whose books I'd read and I approached them. And if you put in the subject line, US Embassy funded project, people open the mail and people respond to that mail, luckily. So that's the way to go. So yeah, and there was another author that I approached who's a celebrity author, but she's a actress as well as a writer. So I approached her as well, but I dropped her later, but I wasn't too impressed with her work, but she also did respond. So it's not like people weren't responding. So yeah, there is that.
Oh, that's great. So you're getting people to respond. That's great. I'm glad people were encouraged to jump in. I want to go back to, and thank you very much. I want to go back to Corrado Lane and ask the same question. How did you get other people involved in your project? Were people eager to join you in your endeavor?
Oh, yes. Well, when this project idea initially culminated as a result of during COVID, when I was given the courses for the different, subjects from the B.Ed honors program, particularly the English subjects. So there, this topic of resilience, I discuss with my, in charge, Dr. Jam Imtiaz Ahmed, who is also my co-PI in this project. So I wanted to have, those activities which we were already, which had already taken place in my teaching, in my classroom teaching for the B.Ed honors program, so that I could include these activities for the youth, because these teachers were being trained to go back in their classrooms at the community college level, at the university level, and impart it to their students. So then I started seeing my own contacts, my networking. So I have this like almost a decade experience of working with the English Access Micro Scholarship Program, and I'm a grant scholarship recipient of several of regional English language programs. So I had this connection and a network and a huge support. So I contacted Linda Ragsdale. I contacted Erin Sled. I contacted around 5 to 6 American speakers, basically who are working as teacher education professionals in the US and in other countries as well. So I contacted them. They were like very positive and very supportive of the idea. And I was in contact with them during my teaching resilience at the University of Karachi for the B.Ed program. So when I told them that, hey, I've got this grant, and it's a grant from Puan, and I want to have you on board on this. Would you like to, volunteer your time? So they were like so happy and so welcoming. So I did that.
Great.
And as a keynote speaker, I was able to approach Professor Michael Medley, and it was such a big honor for me that I was like, initially like, thinking whether he would be able to say yes or no, but he was all open, and he was like, he had an entire session, a keynote speaker session for our resilience program, where he shared a lot of practical activities from his books, from the work which he has done. He's spent a lot of time in Pakistan working with teacher educators, with teachers from the English language teaching community. So I guess this Swan project not only helped me, disseminating the knowledge of what I have been doing as a teacher educator in my university, which is the Department of Teacher Education, University of Karachi, but I was even able to get some of their ideas when these participants were like, sharing that, hey, we've tried this idea, we've tried this activity by the American trainer, by the Pakistani trainer, and see, this works out. And we were building those a resource kind of bank, and we included in our digital manual that, okay, these are the links of the activities, and you can keep on adding to that. So it was like a two-way approach, and so productive and very enriching experience. So I really enjoyed. And we even had, because the subject was on resilience, so the defense,
We want to
the
get
National Defense University,
get
we
all
had
that.
speakers from there. Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's great. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. But we want to keep the conversation going. Okay, we'll come back.
Oh, yeah.
But
Sure.
a quick question coming from the audience for Shia. Did you pay your authors, or did they just volunteer their time?
Oh, so there were 4 of them. One of them did ask to be paid, but we did not pay them. And what we did was we purchased their books. And this one author had his own books, so we purchased them. Like, they weren't at a bookstore, but they were with him personally. So we purchased the books and we gave them to the viewers of our programs as prizes for posting comments, etc. So that's something that we did. No, we weren't paying them. As an afterthought, maybe instead of paying, we could have perhaps asked for some souvenirs from the embassy and given them as a goodwill gesture. I don't know, some mugs or bags or something. But I hadn't thought of that. So in hindsight, I probably do that next time. Just give them something, but perhaps not a cash prize. No.
No, not a cash prize. Okay, well, that's good. But so what we've heard so far is the 3 grants, people volunteered their times and they were anxious to do it. How about you, Ali? You did a 10-episode audio drama based on the theoretical model of entertainment education. I imagine you had some voice actors or someone in, or other people like that. How was the enthusiasm by people to join your project?
Yeah, sure. Would it be okay if I share my screen and show the work that we have done? That will also help them explain how did we do all the things and why did we spend on it. Is that okay if I share my screen for a minute?
Please do. Yes.
I quickly do that. So if you can see my screen, just give me a quick heads up, please. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think so. like going back to it, one of the most important thing that I found for this grant was that the research. I think that's really, really important because so many ideas, but for the type of project that we were doing, like religious harmony and tolerance, it has to be evidence-based. It cannot be based on one's opinions. So that was the first important thing for the proposal, that you show the research that you have done and then find the gaps. I think that's also very important to understand. There is a niche there that we have to fill, and that is an unfilled area or a gap that you have identified based on your research, and that you will be filling it here in the cultural context of Pakistan, and something which is executable, not something which is like fascinatory only. So moving onward, in terms of the question that Paul has asked is about the budget. That was very important because since the beginning I had to keep in mind all the budget heads and the sub heads of the budget, and to ensure that we are able to achieve everything that we have promised in the limited amount and time that we have. And so as you can see here, there was a lot of information and graphics going on. There was audio production going on. There was music production. There was writing going on. There was execution on Facebook advertisements. And then there was a post evaluation going on. So if you go on this website, look into if you want to see all of the episodes, you can find it there. And to answer this question, yes, we did pay. We paid the authors, we paid the musicians, we paid the writers, we paid every single person, and we signed the contract. And the contract was signed based on a template, so that we could make them accountable based on, and we can also sort of follow up on the performance. So it was a very rigorous exercise of finding, of keeping track of every single rupee that we have spent. That also helped us to ensure that we will reach the target in the limited time and the funding that we had. Yeah.
Do you think it was only that got people involved in your project, or other things that motivated them to be involved in the project?
Could you please say that again, Paul? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay. Do you think it was pay that made people want to become involved in your project, or do you think other things motivated them to become involved in the project?
Yeah, I think it was based on two things. So once we are doing the project and in communication with the POAN group, our proposal modified over time, and we identified new needs. So we then identified new resourceful people to bring into our project, and then we shared the project with them, and then they become excited and motivated that yes, they can contribute into it. For example, musicians, singers, and writers. Some of them were not in my mind before writing the proposal, but then they were being included because of the needs of the project. So it was an evolutionary process for us to find the expertise.
Great. Okay, well, that's great. We're already running short on time, which is really a shame. So I want to try and speed things up a little bit. We're going to just go back down the line. Ali, how do you measure the success of your project? How did you know it was successful?
Yes, thank you so much. I will quickly again share my screen because I want to show the metrics. So the good thing about doing a project online, that you have all of the data available directly from the dashboard that you are using. So for the timeline purposes, we have the calendar right here, as you can see on the right. And for the metrics, you can see on the left. For every advertisement, there were unique metrics that we promised, and we were able to measure, like views and number of reach and likes and comments and shares and many other all of these. At the same time, we were also able to measure the longitudinal performance, how the ads are doing, what the insights were as our radio drama was actually rolling out, and if there are any negative things coming up that we should be careful about. We also had information about the gender segregation of the audiences, like how many males and how many females. And so it was an insightful experience for us to see more males and more females. And then we also found out the geographic regions where they are mostly from, which part of Punjab are they mostly from. And then you can see there are some who are actually outside Punjab, which we never really reached out, like in the Karachi region, and that is because of the organic marketing of the project. So yes, the good thing about doing the project online and using the social media was that we had really good metrics available that helped us understand the success of the project overall. And I think you should report it if you receive the grant categorically to the POAN so that you could demonstrate the success. And you should also mention it in the proposal that these are the metrics by which we will be measuring the success of the project.
Those are very good points. I just want to emphasize, when we review the proposals, we're going to read all the details, and in the summary, when you're finished with the project and you have to do your write-up, we read it all again. So I'm glad you have those kinds of numbers. That's really, really positive. We're going to continue going down the line. Ashia, how do you measure the success of your project? How do you know it went over well?
Well, I don't have the numbers right now like Ali does, but obviously we quoted that in the report, how many people viewed the interviews and how many engaged with those posts, etc. And also so that's the quantifiable aspect, but also I'm happy to see that we've put books and book reading on the PON map. So, and I don't see too many projects focusing on that. So even in some small sense, I see that as a success as well. So yeah.
I agree with you. Did you get what was the feedback that you heard from the authors who participated? They have people calling them, or what did you hear from the authors after?
Nobody has said that so far. Sabiha is very much celebrated already. The travelogue writer also is very popular because he's a mountain climber and he's very known in his community of climbers. So these are celebrated in their own way. The development economics guy is on the proposals that he's written about in his book, Do Pakistan, Two Pakistans. And so, yeah, so these are people who are big names in their own little niches. I mean, yeah. Obviously, they're not writing popular stuff, but in their own area, they are well known. So, yeah. No, it's not like I made them celebrities. That did not happen.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, here's some positive feedback. I really enjoyed your project. Let's go to Corrado Lane. Same question to you. How do you measure the success of your project, either in quantifiable numbers like Ali was able to tell us, or just kind of feedback from the participants and the audience that Ashia told us? How do you measure the success of your project?
Okay, so in quantifiable, we distributed, like I already mentioned, that we had around almost 100 graduates. So we technically, had 100 certificates, which with around 35 being posted via courier within Pakistan and even to Kashmir. And the most successful thing, because our entire TRDC project, even all of the sessions were recorded and uploaded on a YouTube channel, particularly so that participants could later view them, have them in their classrooms for their teachers. Because like I already mentioned, these were not just teacher educators, but they were like professors, they were departmental heads in charge, people in authority who could have certain, training programs in their institution organizations. And another important thing which we did, which was very, very creative and a lot of, time consuming also, was we converted this into an online course, self-paced learning course. So our project is an online course with the help, which again, I credit this to the U.S. Department of State, the RELO program, because I've already got these scholarships on getting mentorship from U.S. professionals on how to create and adapt these online MOOCs. So I'm like since 2012 into MOOCs and online courses. So we converted our course, and we have successfully 20 participants graduate from our online TRDC MOOC program. So I guess that's a big achievement. I mean, it's a small number, 20, but it's like people who have actually done it on their own after our project had ended. So that's how I would measure our success.
That's tremendous. We are really running out of time, so I'm going to try and get through the next round of very quickly. We're going to back up line from my right to my left. So, Corrado Lane, we're going to stick with you. This is kind of the embarrassing question for all three of you. What was a problem that you encountered that you didn't expect that you had to overcome?
Okay, a problem. I guess the budget. It was a very small grant because it was hardly I mean $1,100 US, and so many things, because it was my first time. But yes, like I already mentioned, I got the support, but there were things which, because paying for Twitter online ads, doing some of the subscriptions which were in USD, and they were like conversion and stuff like that, which I didn't had that calculation in mind. So, but now I have learned that. So next time I'll be super, extra careful. So that was something really, a challenge for me, at least.
All right. Well, thanks for your honesty, and that's
Yeah.
something that our future grantees can keep in mind. Let's go back up the line, Ashia. What was an unexpected problem or issue that you had to overcome?
So, okay, before I do that, about the budget. So, in my program, we ended up underspending because we rationed this much money estimated for the book purchases that we were going to give to the viewers. And we were able to find the books cheaper somehow. So, we ended up saving money. So, when you start a project, you get 80% of the payment, and that was about all of what we needed to spend. So, we didn't need the remaining 20%. So, there is that. And the good thing was that if you're interacting and if you're changing things, so we had to move things around under the budget heads from one head to the other. So we had to make more allowance for editing because that somehow was taking more time and money. So, but that's not a problem if you're talking to the team at the embassy and keeping them informed and you're getting them. I would ideally, because I also work and we work with clients and people, and I respond at a certain pace, and I would have liked the responses to be at the same pace. Because that doesn't happen, probably because the teams are really busy. So what I would recommend that people do is don't leave things till the last minute. Don't think that you're going to send in an email today and you're going to get a response by the evening or by the next day. So keep that cushion in mind. Understand that the teams are busy. They may not respond at the time you would want them to respond on. So yeah. And also the same goes for the proposal submission. There will be technical faux pas, there will be problems. Don't wait till the 31st of July to sit down and type out your proposal for the Asia Study Grant. I believe 31st July is the deadline. So yeah, so don't leave things till the last minute. Otherwise it was all smooth, it was fine.
Okay. That's a very good point. I'm glad you did that. You don't want to leave things for the last minute because invariably that's the day when there's going to be a flood and the internet will go out, or that's going to be the day when your mother's car breaks down and she needs you to drive her to the doctor or something, whatever the case will be. Don't wait until the last day. Get it in early. And as you mentioned, our staff, they're very hardworking, but they have to deal with a lot of people. So sometimes the response might not be right away. Just one other point, you mentioned that when you did the grant, the split was 80-20. You got 80% of the money ahead of time, and then you got the remaining 20% when you turn in your final paperwork. We've changed that up just a little bit because we found that some people were kind of tardy in getting their paperwork completed. So now we'll be 7% ahead of time, and we're going to hold back 30%. That's just to help remind people to get the paperwork finished so that they can get the rest of the money, the last 30%. Let's turn to Ali. Thank you very much, Ashia, for your honesty. Really appreciate it. Ali, how about you? What was an unexpected issue that came up that you had to overcome?
I think the unexpected issue was to maintain a balance between all of the things that we have to do. So we are working on a creative idea or project, and there is a lot of room for us to go further. But we had to stop ourselves and say, okay, that is as much as we could do in the context of sensitivity and something that we can achieve. Now focus on the other things. So the balance that we had to create between the timeline, between the budget, between the innovation, significance, logistics, and meeting the deadlines is something that was a challenge in my mind all the time going on. And another challenge that I focused was, which was particular to our project initially, was that we designed something in the beginning and then we looked into it from the sensitivities point of view in the culture, and then we had to abandon it completely. We just after 1.5 months we left it, and then we did something absolutely new again, so that we could launch something that we can actually launch. We could make something that is actually reaches the audience and without any backfire. So we really have to be very careful of the creativity and something that can actually be launched and achieve the goal. And that balance was something that I found a little challenging.
You're on mute, Paul. We can't hear you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your response. We really appreciate it. We have time for just one more question, so I'm going to go back to my right, starting with Corrado Lane, and give the final word to you. What is your final parting thought? What would you like to tell future grantees, people who are bidding on grants right now? So I'm going to let you have The floor, each of you in turn, with your final thoughts and your best advice.
My best advice already, which Aisha has also pointed out, that we need to plan things ahead and don't be shy. This is very important. Sometimes we're assuming things that, what the embassy or what Puan might say, this sounds awkward. No, don't be shy. Just put in your query, write an email or a WhatsApp group, whatever forms for communication they have established, and they're there to support you. And it's not just one person. Like I already mentioned, I had Fariha, I had Shahnila, I had Samana, I had Sarwakar, I had so many people, and the usefp@gmail.com. I don't know who monitors that. So I had support coming in from all these places, and it was like they'll send you even contacts with people whom you might not know, that there's so many alumni already in the Puan database, so they will even refer you to those as well. So don't be shy, because it's really important, because we tend to get overwhelmed with it's the project, you have to manage it with your work life, so you need to keep that balance. And if you're not shy, I'm sure inshallah you'll have a successful project. Thank you.
Inshallah, yes. Thank you. That's really great advice. I have some follow-up comments on that. I'm going to come back to it. But thank you so much. Let's go back to you, Ashia. What is your final word? Give us your best advice for people who are thinking about bidding.
So building on what Kuratulan also said, Shahid Wasim at the embassy connected me to Alia Wakar, who's also an Iowa Writers Workshop Fellow, who was assisting me on the tech side, but also because she's a writer, so she was looking at the questions I was going to ask and giving me feedback. So yeah, I didn't have a team. I haven't met her to this day, but it worked beautifully. So the team at the embassy does a good job of plugging you in with other alums who can be your team A. Secondly, if you have a theme in mind, your big idea or your small idea, which may still be a big idea, but go with it to the people who are running the show and see if it can fit in with the theme. Sometimes things will not obviously fit in. For example, interviewing writers doesn't obviously fit in with the 4 themes that might be the top choices at the embassy for running programs. So I've done a gardening project, school-based gardening project as a chapter activity with Juan, and there is an audience and there is an openness to accept things. So the more unique and specific your idea is, the better it will be received, because that will be your niche market and nobody else is doing it. So it won't be mixed up in that whole pool of everyone doing the same kind of a thing. And also when you're doing the rationalization and objectives for the program, don't set out to conquer the world. You're doing something with this program which is going to last 2 months, 4 months, whatever, and you're going to achieve this really small and important thing. Small in the terms of expanse, but it may be important in terms of impact. So just be very real and honest with yourself when you're choosing a topic and when you're presenting it to the audience, and because that jives well with whoever is reading it. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow, that's really excellent advice as well. And I'll tell you, from the other side of it, when we're looking over at these proposals, the ones that really jump out are ones we haven't seen before. It's a brand new topic. It's something that's a little bit crazy. Those are the ones we like, and at least those are the ones that I like. And so those are the ones that I'll give a little extra boost to. So thank you. A great advice, Ali. Final word to you, sir. What is your advice for your Puan colleagues who are thinking about bidding on a grant?
Yeah, I think I agree with Kurtulan and Aisha on all the things they mentioned. What my experience has been is that we need to follow the guideline of the announcement. So the keywords, the goals of the announcement, the objectives and the activities. So synchronize the idea that you have with the guideline of the proposal of the grant, and then also focus on everything. Don't just focus on introduction a little more and then less on significance, and then focus more on the impact, etc. So keep a balance in the proposal for every section that you have been asked to work on. Yeah.
Well, you guys make my job so easy. This is all such great advice. It's been really very helpful. I just want to tell everyone the deadline has been mentioned already. It's July 31st for this round of grants. Our 3 main areas of focus are anti-trafficking, health, and environment and energy. So those are our 3 that we suggested. However, if you have a great idea that's not one of these 3 topics, submit a proposal for that as well. We will read those as well. And if you catch us off guard and you have a great idea that we hadn't thought of, we're going to fund those grants as well. So thank you, everyone. I want to thank our panelists, Corinne Lane from Detroit, who got up very early in America to participate. Ashia from here in Islamabad, who jumped in and had some very good insight. And also Ali joining us from Lahore. I will be in Lahore shortly. We have a couple of master classes coming up that will be in Karachi and Lahore. So I look forward to meeting more PON members in the next several weeks and months. Thank you everyone for joining. You've been a great asset. You said it much better than I ever could. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Just
Thank
final
you.
word.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Please do it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye.
All right. Have a good evening.
Goodbye.